Hello. So this is going to be a demonstration of the Tableau software. So Tableau was made in 2003 and it was made to fill in a niche in the data visualization field, and that was to represent business data visually. So you want to be able to have some sort of an interactive representation of all your business data. How it was done traditionally was that people would just print out views from the Excel. They'll have the charts arranged, and maybe they want to show how different regions have different sales and how different regions have different categories of sales. So all of that needed to be printed out and then handed to all of the executives in a bundle of sheets. So to replace all of that, we came up with a digital solution, and that was Tableau. So Tableau basically allows us to create dashboards which have multiple data views, and then you are able to interact with them on your device, and you are able to see how each data points affects the other data points, and how as a whole you get a better and more immersive experience of data visualization, which is able to provide you much more intuitive data and analysis rather than printing it out, and saves a lot of work as well. So we get started with this layout. That's what you're going to be seeing when you first open your software. And here you have a lot of options to open from a file. So all of these are data sources that the Tableau will fetch the data from. So essentially tables, databases, stuff like that. And as you can see, we have a lot of options here. So we have Microsoft Excel, text files, JSON files, which are basically JavaScript objects. These are how APIs handle data passing and data communication. We also have Microsoft Access, which is a Microsoft view related to generate databases rather than tables. We have PDFs, we have spatial files, and we have statistical files. Other than that, we can also connect directly to a server. Now, since this is a public version, that is, it's a free version and not recommended for enterprise use, we only have one server here and we have more access here, but it's pre-configured for just one. But if we had a paid service, we could have had more servers here. And that's one limitation that comes with the free version of the software. So we'll move on to the Microsoft Excel because as you can see here, I already downloaded this sample data set from the Tableau website. So it's freely available on their forums if you Google for it. And I'm just gonna open it. So it takes a second, and now I have this view here. So this represents all the sheets that are there in the Excel. So orders, peoples, and returns. And this is where I get to visualize whatever data is in them. So before I add them to my data store, so this is my data source. So this is where the sheet that we'll be touching upon later in the course will be fetching the data from. So as you can just drag and drop it here, or if I want to check what all is contained, I can just click this icon over here, and that's gonna load all the rows for me, and I can see and inspect all of the data that's contained in this sheet. So that goes for all of these sheets, and I even have a return sheet here. So I'm gonna drag that here, and that's gonna it takes a second, and that's gonna get imported. So I can see all of my data here, and it's ready to be worked with. So I can also create relationships between different sheets. So just like how this has people, and here we have customer, just a second. Yeah, customer names and even regions. So yeah, region south and west. So here we have peoples and the region south center. So you can just drag that over here. And that's gonna create a related view for us. Sorry, the create a relationship for us where we can edit various aspects of it. So it's gonna like there's a lot of various aspects to it. And this here derives from the SQL joins, but it is slightly different. You can read upon more about it here. So I'm gonna close that, and that's gonna define my views for this. And there's a lot of data, so you might need like multiple relationships. For example, I can also drag and returns here, and that's gonna create multiple views for me. And I can change whatever categories are like affected by it. So I can see the order ID returned from this part of the sheet, and then or I can fetch the order IDs from here. And as you can see, it generates a view for me here. So I can see all of the returned order IDs that are fetched from the orders sheet. So I guess I'm gonna remove them from now because we don't really need them. and we're going to move on to the actual stuff, which is sheets. So you can move over to here, which where it says go to worksheet, and this is basically where you will be defining all of your graphs and all of your visualizations that will be defined over here. So you get to select the data sources and all of that here. So since we had data source here, some defined data source here, that's the order sheet. We get to see all of the various categories that are sorry, the rows or columns, data points essentially that are available in that sheet. So it has two types of data sheets. One is measures and one is it is basically the difference between them is that these values are additive. They are values that are quantitative and hence define a certain quantity. These can be added together or operated upon, whereas these are um, definitions which like are names or order ID, stuff like that, stuff which is quantized and only qualitative. So, for example, and you can also see the color that's changing from here to here. So basically what that means is that these values are discrete and these are discrete data points, whereas these values are continuous, so they carry over and it's gonna affect the type of graphs we're gonna get. So we can start off by creating a graph of the various categories we have and the sales we've experienced in them. So I just drag it over to categories and then I can see all of my categories here. These are called shells and we'll touch upon what each of these mean shortly. But for now, for defining a graph, we add rows here and columns here. So I'm going to add sales to my column and I'm going to see a bar graph automatically. So Tableau is very smart in detecting what kind of visualization we would want. And since this is the best way to represent these two values, it's going to already give me a bar graph. But I can choose between, let's say I wanted to see a pie chart, and I can see over here that the sales are almost equally distributed among all of these three categories. So that is technology, furniture, and sales. But I can also get a tree map, right? And I can also get a multi-layered bar chart and all of these other charts as well. So this would be I guess packed bubbles type of chart. And obviously all of these have different values and it's also going to show me how my recommended view is going to be and I'm going to get this. So that works out great for us. We can also add filters. So if I wanted to filter it out by regions like we just saw, we can just drag the filters over, drag the regions over to the filters shelf. That's going to give us this menu where we can select what all regions we want to see. And I'm going to click, let's just deselect West and I'm going to click apply and notice over here that our data points are going to get reduced because we removed a data point. So that was one region we've removed. So we have less data now, and it's going to only going to show us the sales from Central, East, and South regions now. So there are multiple things we can do with the filter over here. We can edit the filter and like change whatever we want to see. So I'm just gonna select Central, and yeah, that's gonna give us whatever sales we had in the Central region. But I can also do is I can show filter and I can see all of these values here. So I can change it all at once. So I can see all of the regions. I can not see East, not see South, not see Central, and just see West, West sales. Or I can see reselect all and see all of my sales again. So once we've defined a basic data view for us, we can go ahead and define a sheets view as well. Sorry, not a sheet view. I meant to say a dashboard. Yeah. So you can select multiple things from here. So I just created a sheet, whereas I wanted to create a dashboard. So here in the dashboard, we get access to our sheets and we just have to drag and drop with them over here. So that's going to arrange them for us and we get this sort of view which has our sheet and our filters and it's going to automatically fill out all of the space that's available in the sheet, sorry, in the dashboard. But I can choose not to do that and I can just delete these for now. And I can hold shift and that's going to give me a floating view. So that way I'm able to place it anywhere I want and that's going to give me more freedom in terms of arranging how I want my content to be. So it's slightly more difficult this way, but it gives you more freedom. So it's up to you, whichever way you want to choose. I would say keep a minimum height so that you don't see a scroll bar so that you're able to maximize the data you're able to see. And yeah, just like that, I'm able to see all of the stuff that I care about. I'm just gonna rearrange it a little bit. There we have some sort of a view of how we can see sales and the select which region we want to see the sales of. We can also, what we can also do is like just in this sheet that I created, I can add, let's say I want to differentiate my sales. So I'm just going to add that over here. And I want to see it against order date. So I'm just going to drag it over here. And that's going to give me a year-wise selection. I think I should swap these out. Yeah. So that's going to give me a year-wise view of how my sales have been. I really think this should be rotated, but it's not rotated. I'll just change that. Yeah, so I got a column and these are my dates, and then I'm gonna add, where is it? Sales. Yeah, and that's gonna give me a much better graph. So as I can see, I have my sales from 2014, 2015, 2017, and that's gonna give me a very helpful line chart. And I can see my sales dip in 2015, but grow again in 2016 and 17. So I can create a more granular view of this because I just don't want to see sirf don't want to see just the years. I want to see the months as well. So I can just click on add and that's gonna give me a per quarter view. But if I click on add further, that's gonna give me a month-wise view of what I want to see. And I can remove the quarters. Let's say I don't want this differentiation between them. I can just do so minus is going to remove whatever was in front of it. So it decreases the granularity. But I can also do is I can click here and I can click remove. So I can just get yearly and monthly view of how my sales have been and get a monthly statistics and visualization of how my sales have been. So that's good. And I think we can use this view in particular. So we can head over to our dashboard again. And I'm going to drag my second sheet as well, and that's gonna give me a sheet of all the sales I have. And that is obviously great because we can now see all of the layers we have. But the main value that comes with Tableau is that you can use these as filters as well. So you can go and you can select use as filter, and that's gonna give me a menu, right? And I can do that over here as well, use as filter. So if I click on 2016, that's going to give me the sales of just the year 2016. And I can click on 2015 and just get the sales of 2015. I can even click on April and get the sales of April. And that it really works out for us because we really want to see whatever we want to see. So let's say I had a peak here and I want to see what categories were selling and how many of them were selling. So I can just inspect what peak was and how many sales of each particular category I was getting. So similarly, I can also click on furniture and get the statistics of furniture itself. And that is in this table, since I did use as filter here as well, I was able to get the I was able to get the filters, the statistics of just the furniture sales across all of these months. And that is where you see the performance and the flexibility that comes with the use of Tableau. So I can even select multiple points here. So if I press Control on my keyboard, I can select 2 or 3 points, and then that's going to give me the cumulative data of that point. So all of these features are really helpful, and that's what is going to conclude my demonstration of Tableau software for me. It's just a great way to visualize data and really help you analyze your business or whatever, maybe research you're conducting, and it really gives you a lot of flexibility. So thank you for watching.